Well, good morning. Welcome back to Project Time Garage. It's early outside. It's hungry outside. It's a little chilly outside. As you can see, already in the truck. Today we're going to get another vehicle because I need another vehicle. After all, I only have that vehicle and 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 that vehicle. Another one right there. And that vehicle. That's my wife's. And that vehicle. That vehicle. Not just any vehicle. Today we're going to get a kind of a peculiar bird. It's a 1994 Dodge Ram, 2500, long wheelbase, 4-wheel drive, standard cab, manual transmission with the absolutely fuel sipping 8.0 liter V10. Not really fuel sipping. In fact, I think we're going to call it Mr. Thirsty. Got a little history with the truck. See, I've owned it since I think around late part of 1995 or early part of 96, something like that. And I'm not going to say I forgot I owned it, but I just kind of forgot about it a little bit. See, I bought my 03 6.0 truck, and this one was sent to live with family. Been sitting down there since probably 07, 08, something like that. Tags expired in 09. It's been off the road a long time. But anyway, like I said, I got a lot of history with the truck. I've had it a long time. And actually, it's pretty funny because I didn't really, like I said, I didn't really forget that I owned it, but I had gone down to kind of do a revival on that 1967 Ford F100 truck. If you haven't seen that series, I'll put a link to it up here. And I just kind of, you know, discovered it again. So I'm like, well, that thing probably needs to come back home, because originally the reason it went away is because when I got that white truck, I didn't really have enough room to park a lot of vehicles. I didn't have the space I have today. Well, now I do. So that's what we're doing. I'm gonna go and pick that up. I'll reconnect with you guys and give you the quick and dirty walk around of it as quick as we can get down there. The plan is to try to start the thing and drive it home. But if you notice, I'm in quite a bit of truck today, because just in case that, you know, that plan goes south, I'm not going to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours without a trailer. So worst case scenario, we'll load on the trailer and bring it home. So anyway, yeah, I'll pick back up with you guys so we get a little closer down there to it and have a look at it. Well, I guess the time has come to have a look at this beauty. This is what we're dealing with. Like I said, 94 Dodge Ram 2500, regular cab, long wheelbase, 4-wheel drive, manual transmission, V10. I think before I drive it anywhere, it's probably going to be a good idea to go ahead and do an oil change. This thing was last plated in 2009, so I'm not really sure when the oil was changed last, but probably needs it. So let's go ahead and jump into that real quick, and then see about getting the thing home. Like I was saying earlier, though, if it does break down, we brought just enough truck to get us home. Well, anybody taking bets on what this oil is going to look like that comes out of here? Hope it look wonderful, but you never know. Let's see. Let's start with this pan, because this one looks like it's a little easier to deal with. Why is it that adjustable wrenches adjust whenever you lay them down? Is it just that I'm buying junk wrenches? That's probably it. It's a little thick. I was a little bit like gas, but it's not too bad. I think this thing holds like 5 or 6 quarts, something like that. I wonder where the oil filter is on this thing. Oh, I see it, way up front. Also, it looks like the 4-wheel drive is unplugged. That's interesting. I wonder why it's that's done. I see something else up there under the front that's unplugged. I wonder what that is too. Yeah, that oil is thick and it is dark. Quick and dirty oil change. This thing honestly probably needs another oil change here after just a little bit of running. Run some sea foam through it also on the way home. I got a bottle of that. All right, get the oil out without spilling it. That's the next order of business. Now, if your oil filter looks like that, it's a good indicator that you should have changed the oil before now. Now, ever oil filter wrench is always the exact wrong size, isn't it? That's why they make strap wrenches, right? There we go. Now then, truthfully, that came off way better than I thought it would. Well, at least the thing's easy to hang on to. It's so rusty. All right. All right, oil and filter done. Well, I guess if we're going to do this job right, we may as well put some oil back in it. Finally found a funnel. Isn't it cute? Don't make fun of me too bad. I'm not in freedom. I'm riding with my dad today, and well, I don't have access to my tools, so I don't know where stuff's at. Nope, this shouldn't make a mess at all. We have for coolant. I guess is the next question. Full. Excellent. It could probably use some brake fluid, but it's not so low that I'm worried about it. What about power steering fluid? Yeah. These people that put these big brush guards on the front of trucks obviously have never worked on them. Oh wait, I did that, didn't I? Oops. Well, let's start it up and just kind of see what we get here. Let it run a little bit, let the temperature start to come up. Probably a good idea. Another thing got going on, I don't think the fuel pump is priming that well. You have to let it prime a couple of times. Pressure's up. Okay. the radio sounds good in here. The last guy must have put some good speakers in. Oh wait, that was me too, wasn't it? Well, let it run a while. Oh look, locking gas cut with key. Can't beat that. Paint is gonna have to be clean some, isn't it? But I think with an insane amount of rubbing and buffing, it'll probably come back. And we're just now starting to get a little bit of temperature. Just gonna let it come on up. Don't have any power windows. I don't know why, on either side. So I didn't have any power window workage, and I also didn't have any HVAC blower motor workage. So kind of hated to drive down the road, you know, the windows up and no way to get ventilation in there because the windows are just going to try to fog up with me and they're going, you know. So I thought we might have a look at that, and here's what I found. This is the fuse panel lid. Had a circuit breaker for power window, one for power seat, and I assume there's supposed to be one for blower motor, but it was missing. But the power seat worked, but the power window didn't. So of course I swapped these real quick and no dice. Put my my meter continuity tester on these, and they're both good. There's nothing wrong with these. So I get to looking, and on the power window, I don't have any voltage coming in feeding this circuit. Also don't have anything feeding this. A quick look to all data showed that there is that it's fed from under the dash in the actual key switch itself. So as a temporary measure, what I've done is I've taken a wire and I have basically strapped from the power seat hot side up to the power window feed side. And when I do that, I have that. Of course, I still don't have any HVAC control, but I'm not really sure I care about that at this point. If I can crack a window on this ride home, that's probably good enough. But I am going to investigate just a little bit and see what I find. I'll bring you back if there's something interesting. Well, I found something, and then I remembered something. I used to do a whole lot in the way of accessorizing vehicles, and later on I'll show you some more of all the stuff that I had done to this, because, you know, I had it did up for the time, right? I didn't do that though. That's not me. One of the things I did to the truck was I put a remote start in it. You know, one of those universal remote starts. But it's a manual transmission. Yeah, it is a manual transmission. And the way I did that was pretty, it was a pretty odd deal. I actually had a reed switch down there on the shifter under the boot, so that when the truck was in neutral, the reed switch would be open and allow the thing to even start. So if you had it in any gear, then it just wouldn't start. But yeah, I did that, and in doing that, the wiring harness that runs between the key switch down to the sub harness is a train wreck, and it really needs to be replaced. It's got a whole bunch of those silly, you know, tap connectors or vampire tap type connectors, and it needs to be replaced. So I'm telling you that because I don't really feel bad about what I just did in order to do some testing. Here's what I did. Well, according to all data, the pink with black wire runs up to the key switch and gives us constant 12 volts to the key switch. When you turn the key switch on, it sends 12 volts down this lead, powering the power window, the blower motor, and a couple other things. I didn't really look to see what all else it was. Probably the airbag, if I had to guess, because the airbag light's on. So that pretty much seals my deal. What's wrong? What's the actual problem with it? It's going to be a key switch, I'm reasonably certain. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time dinking around with this thing, knowing that it's got a bad key switch. I'm going to employ my temporary measure there just to make sure that I have window control, and we're going to drive home. Guess my tailgate just fell open, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Made it almost 3/4 of a mile before we had our first issue. Tailgate fell open. Now I'm looking for a place to pull over because I guess I didn't get my seats set exactly where I need it. Man, it's rough. Gotta get that fixed right now. Gotta have some comfort. Well, it turns out the truck drives pretty good up around 90 or so. Nope, not 90. I don't know when the speedometer decided to get that far off, but it is way off. 90 there, 55 there. Guess we have something to fix on it after all. We got a lot to fix. These tires, wow, these things have been sitting for a long time. They are rough. I think they're square. They look brand new, but they're certainly not. About 25 miles down so far, and so far so good. I mean, the tires being rough aside, the truck actually it's running really good. I'd forgotten how much torque it actually had. I guess when I had this truck, all I had were like cars and things like that, so I didn't have a whole lot to compare it to. But man, just fifth gear with, you know, no RPMs at all. This thing just accelerates just like crazy. It's kind of cool actually. But yeah, you know, like I was saying, I've had the truck a long time, and whenever I got my white truck, it went to live with family, and it got used around their place a little bit. They hauled some wood with it back and forth, but never was really on the road after 09. And it really wasn't on the road much before 09. It did a whole lot of sitting. In fact, the tires on the thing were put on here in 07, and they still look brand new, so it hasn't had a lot of miles on it. I was looking through the glove box, and I've got a lot of paperwork in there that I originally had. Looks like I bought it in 07. I was thinking it, or in 97. I was thinking it was in 95, but it looks like it was in 97. I did buy it used, but it was barely used. I bought it from a fella I actually know or knew. And I always thought it was a cool truck, and had never dealt any with the V10 stuff before. But anyway, yeah, whenever I saw it when I was doing the revival on that 67, I thought that this thing really needs to come home and kind of come back to its former glory. At one time, you know, I had a lot. It was very custom. Of of course, back in those days, you know, in the 90s, customizing your truck to the absolute edges of what is sane, it's kind of normal, at least, you know, at least for guys my age back then. And so everybody had the window tint, the speakers, and the, you know, every accessory that the truck place sold and all that. So yeah. But anyway, a lot of that stuff's gonna have to get undone because a lot of it I probably didn't do the very best. Wasn't quite the craftsman I am today. Not that I'm a craftsman today by any stretch of the imagination. But anyway, yeah. Let's put down a few more miles here and I'll check back in with you guys when we get a little closer in. It's getting later in the afternoon, getting darker out. The truck's still doing really well. The tires are actually coming around now a little bit and getting a little bit more comfortable to ride in. We're a little over halfway through our journey, I guess, something like that. And I do have a little bit of noise going on in fifth gear. Don't know what that is. Sounds like kind of a bearing noise going on. It's not there in first through fourth, definitely there in fifth. And I kind of feel like I remember this noise from years ago. Kind of feel like it was making this noise before. I don't know. Maybe it's just my imagination, but I think it was. Either way, if it was, it hadn't got any better. So most likely this thing will have some transmission work at some point here. See if we'll finish up this last leg of this journey, get this thing home. I'm looking forward to washing it and trying to clean it up just to see what we're working with here. Hey, Mopar Garage. Looks like I'm gonna have to go back and brush up on that video where you put the steering gearbox in your Ram, because this one, the steering was bad before I sent it away. Now that's about to play. Suckers all over the place. You guys haven't checked out the Mopar Garage, I suggest you go give him a look. He does a lot with Dodges of this particular vintage right here. I'll put a link to his channel up here. Click on that and go check him out, the Mopar Garage. Well, the old Dodge made it home pretty good on that trip. We got home actually after dark, and believe it or not, the headlights work, and even those little driving lights under there, they work too. Those have been on there, man, probably since 99 or 2000. They still work. You know, toward the end of the trip, the truck just got to be really a pleasure to drive. It does have a few issues. There's some runnability issues. It's hard to start in the mornings. It spins over a lot. I don't know if I've got a idle air control valve. I have a feeling it's kind of sticky because sometimes you let off the gas, the RPMs will dip down enough where it almost stalls and then it'll recover. So we'll go through all that stuff. That's not a big deal. But for right now, all that moss that's all over the truck is really like hard and really tough to get off of it. But it's been raining all night, and this is the next day, by the way. And this is really the best time, I think, to get out and pressure wash something that's got all that caked on stuff, because it's been soaking overnight and a lot of the work's being done by Mother Nature. So I've got the pressure washer set up. I've got a bucket there, or a pump sprayer full of all kinds of stuff, simple green and various cleaners and oil eater additives and some eye of nude and some toe of fig and whatever in there that hopefully will take care of cutting some of that off. So let me get set up, run over this thing real quick with a pressure washer, see what it looks like when we're done. A bath helped it out some, but it didn't help it out a bunch. I have a feeling this paint, it's gonna have to have some work on it. A lot of that tree sap that you still see on here just wouldn't come off. I scrubbed, I tried everything in the world, and then I got to looking a little closer at it, and it looks to me like the tree sap has eaten its way through the clear coat. It's not rough to the touch, but you can see a bunch of pops in it. So I have a feeling the paint may be as good as it's going to get. At some point, I'm probably going to try to buff on it a little bit and just see what we get. That's what we've got here for now. I'm going to get started on doing a few things to it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't know where I'm going with it at this point. There's a good possibility I'll spit shine it the best I can get it, make it mechanically sound, whatever else may be wrong with it, but it really doesn't need a lot. And just enjoy it, you know. I may do a few things on the channel through time, but I'd be surprised if we go into a full-on, you know, resurrection, because it's pretty well resurrected, right? Doesn't really need a whole lot, you know. It's sat for a long time. It could use a little bit of, you know, cleaning up and painting the cab and, you know, little piddly stuff, but all in all, the truck's pretty solid. And I'm not gonna restore it, and I'm not gonna make it some, you know, beauty queen. I have a lot of history with it, so I just want to drive it and enjoy it some. You know, it's here where it belongs, so that's good enough for me. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it very much. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you do that. And as usual, don't forget to tell all your friends about us. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next time.